second game of this best of 5 series, and Europe has moved up 1-0 and are one step closer to getting their last remaining team into the semifinals. So far, we have Invictus Gaming from China, SK Telecom from Korea, of course, and FPX from China as well. So either we're gonna have 2 Koreans versus 2 Chinese teams in those semis, or 1 European squad, namely G2 Esports, arguably the greatest European team of all time, are gonna try and replicate Fnatic's success from last year and get that final spot for themselves. So far it's not looking too shabby for them. They have won that first game against Diamond Gaming here, and the compositions have changed up quite a bit. This time around it's Perks actually with a mage in that bottom lane, Orianna for him, whereas Caps instead plays Renekton here in the mid lane. That's a very, very interesting composition from G2 Esports. No traditional AD carry at all on their team. They do have Jace in the top lane, which of course is some sort of a ranged physical damage dealer. But we see here the stats. Second most played champion in Perks' career. Of course, probably 28 of those 29 games were in the middle lane. But brings that mage down to bot for this one and is looking to dominate on yet another pick here, yet another type of champion in the bottom lane, and he's looked so good in these world championships so far. His Zoe game against Griffin was very impressive. His Syndra has always been impressive. Even his Yasuo has been quite good and scary for many teams to band it away. And this time around pulls out the Orianna in the bottom lane, and we're gonna have to watch with excitement how he's able to make this one work. On the other side here, Nuguri this time around still with an AP top laner, but instead decides to go for the cannon, which is a pick that doesn't take quite as long to come online as opposed to that Kale from last game where he went behind the lane just a bit too far for him to be having an impact early on. And speaking of which, Jankos is looking to make an early impact here against Nuguri's cannon. Lands the blind cocoon into the bush, which means Nuguri is going to be forced to flash out, but still drops to first blood for Wonder this time around. And again, second game, second time for G2 to grab that first blood. Kenyan had also made his way up into the top side, but was not able to get there before Jankos grabs the kill. Instead, he might look for a mid dive here. Showmaker finds the root, but the Sonic Wave misses. Kenyan with a huge blunder, I would say, on that rooted target, unable to land the Sonic Wave. That would have definitely been a kill onto Caps had he been able to grab that jump in and just probably cast his E for the kill. Therefore, Caps gets to live another day here. Can be happy with it, how that one turned out for him. And Showmaker just kind of wastes his flash there as his jungler isn't able to follow him up quite in time. Alright, so with how these two gangs played out, it's of course again a big advantage to G2 Esports early on. Caps on the Renekton, not set behind too early and even able to chase Canyon off of this Replicamp. He might be able to force Lee Sin's flash here. Flash over the wall and he picks up that solo kill. Finds out Canyon trying to counter jungle and instantly punishes him, and it might be a return kill actually in the bot lane as Diamond Gaming are looking to take down Mickey X, get that kill onto the Alistar, and Perks gets the nice EOD through 2 people but drops himself before the teleport even completes here. Jankos picks up that kill onto Nuclear, and Barrel forced to flash out as well. But overall, finally, Diamond Gaming strike back in a huge fashion here. Caps was trying to catch off Barrel, gets the dash through the ground, finds out the Leona, no flash available, and that's going to be a dead Barrel here. It's going to be Wonder able to pick up the kill, and Perks now teleporting into the top lane to pick up that huge wave of CS for himself. Alright, Diamond Gaming strike back, and 2 kills onto the Kaiser is a huge threat early on now. Whoever is going to have to lane against her is going to be in big trouble himself. But G2 Esports of course find 2 kills of their own in that bot side play and pick up pretty much all the CS necessary. And with that solo kill from Caps onto the enemy jungler earlier, this Renekton in the mid lane is quite scary himself. Once reset, he's probably going to be able to threaten this Rise quite a bit, maybe force out his cleanse. Let's wait and see how G2 Esports decide to play that one. But More importantly, it's gonna be interesting to see how they are gonna play around this extremely accelerated enemy Kaiser here now early on. They are looking to make a dive happen here in the mid lane, but Jankos has been found out. Mickey X and Perks approaching from the top side, but Showmaker is having none of this and not approaching that turret. Perks now decides to move in. Hex Smash over the wall, but Jankos found Canyon on the flank, just barely able to get away. Is the Lee Sin before Caps can stun him up with his Renekton here. And that would have most definitely been a kill for G2 had Canyon rather not gotten out just in time before that CC landed. So after all, it is quite a few CS ran into the turret down in the bottom lane. G2 unable to pick up quite a few of those. And therefore, the lead that Nuclear has claimed over Perks in that bottom lane 2v2 that Damwon won quite well, quite clearly here. This time around, expectations be damned here, quite honestly, as Caps is getting made a play upon here in the mid lane. Canyon only level 4 though, and Caps decides to try and turn this one around, but he is rather low already, decides to pull out of that one, and Yanko's not there in time to really force a return kill here, and G2 just walk it off. So what I was saying here, expectations be damned really, that supposed weak point of Downward Gaming's in the bottom lane this time around here in the second game, stepping up huge and getting that 2v2 kill, and both of these going to Kaiser means that Nuclear now the player to watch, quite frankly, for this game. Noguri just hit level 600 top lane and is thereby able to threaten the Jace if he oversteps. Ever, of course, 2 kills in the advantage for Jace does look like Noguri has a big trouble here in that 1v1. But remember, 2 kills worth of gold, that's probably just all the gold that Wonder has to invest into his tier, which does not give him any combat power for now, and therefore they're just about even in gold invested, and Wonder's advantage is not as oppressive as it otherwise could have been here. No lethality acquired yet, therefore doesn't pack that scarier punch just yet. Caps made his way into the jungle, but he has been spotted by Diamond Gaming. Pulls the Dominus, but Canyon not caught out by that cocoon. He has been turned on now by Caps, but there's no flash available for the Renekton to chase after that Lee Sin. And now G2 are the ones on the run, making them out of there. Caps has just been seen just before he was able to get into the bush. Probably didn't expect Jamon Gaming to actually have realized he was in there quite surely. And therefore, the attempted pick out of G2 Esports was not quite successful. There are no summoners being forced, and no kills, of course, being claimed by their side. About 5,000 gold in the advantage are G2 Esports, but looking at these compositions and where the gold from Downwind Gaming truly lies, I would say that G2 Esports is not actually even ahead in this one. Jankos now attempts another pick here onto Barrel, but he's the one getting turned on instead. Just completely almost one-shot by the enemy bot lane. Dive in from Nuclear. Jankos goes up, but what goes up has to come down. Newton sends his regards, and it's a 1 kill going over to Downwind Gaming. This one picked up by Showmaker here in the mid lane. And if they're able to also get this Rise activated, it's going to be extremely difficult for G2 Esports to win any of these team fights. Oh my lord, Diamond Gaming now able to pick up this dragon while G2 Esports were setting a trap here in the bot lane, but of course Diamond Gaming not foolish enough to step up that far and let that shutdown onto Kaiser be claimed. Whew. Another look at this one. They saw Jankos sneak into this bush, and of course, both these entrances to the jungle being warded made it entirely impossible for Jankos to get there without being spotted. Gets CC'd up right away by the Leona, and then Nuclear decides to dive in there with the shield from his ultimate, able to do that without any big worries, and able to just pick up that kill. In the end is Rise. Even the Hex Drinker completed by Jace means that the only player who's really far ahead on G2 Esports side does invest quite a bit, quite much gold, honestly, into scaling and defensive stats. Therefore, the team fighting power of G2 Esports is really low as opposed to that fed Kaiser and Rise on the side of Diamond Gaming. G2 did try to start up this Rift here, but I'm not quite sure they want a team fight at this moment in time. Perks doesn't have the teleport available, and yeah, just simply for that reason, G2 Esports is not able to fight for this one, and quite honestly, they can probably be happy with that, because without any items being completed yet on their side, they probably shouldn't be trying to contest that Rise and Kaiser anyways at this stage. It's just really unfortunate to look at how well this one engaged lands from Perks. Double man shockwave, but there's really no damage to follow it up. Caps with his dominance still active, trying to get back in there. About to be CC'd up here by the Leona, but flash forced out of barrel at the end. They were able to avoid a turret take by the side of Diamond Gaming, but no kills being found for G2 Esports. And I'm just gonna be quite honest here. With their team composition, I don't see them winning late game skirmishes if they're not able to pull anything crazy off, like these creative bot lane plays where they send both their solo laners with teleports into one lane and catch out the enemy split pusher. They're gonna have to do stuff like that a whole of a bunch here in this game to be able to bridge that late game gap between those teams. Jace's lead is not gonna mean anything if the enemy Kaiser and Rise are also ahead like that. And with Caps' solo kill in the early game, it looked like he was just gonna be able to take over that mid lane matchup, but instead, despite his jungler giving up that kill and also giving away that free kill onto Caps when they try to tower dive here, Showmaker able to just pull up by simply CSing his lane, and Caps not finding anything on his plays and roams that he was trying to set up himself. Whew. With all that being said, Caps hasn't died himself yet. He hasn't made any big mistakes in this game so far, but he is down about 40 CS onto the Rise, who now also has a kill to his own name, gets that blue buff. And I don't see this Renekton ever again being able to threaten this Rise in a 1v1 situation. Again, just repeating what I've already uttered quite a few times here, this top lane matchup is not as volatile as the previous one was with that Kale on Nuggery's pick here. 6 more CS for him after the wave, probably gonna be able to base and cash in that call he has. Proto Belt gonna be completed, and also gonna be able to work his way towards that Sonya's Hourglass, which you have to imagine is most likely gonna be his second item on that cannon per usual. Resets now. Let's take a look at how much exactly he's able to grab here from that base. Gets the Proto Belt and the boots completed as well. Sells the coal and gets another control ward for him. Alright, so still a long way until that Sonya's Hourglass comes in cannon's range, but with those two items he's got big amount of damage already. Perks almost CC'd up here in the bot lane by the Leona. Decides not to flash that ultimate and able to avoid that stun in the center of it by just a millimeter. And therefore gets himself out of there. One item completed himself, but that's as another enemy Skishot just barely misses him. That's still quite far behind the enemy Kaiser, who's already working towards her second item. Tower dive in the top lane. Mickey starts tanking up the turret with his ultimate, able to do so for ages. And Wonder goes on a killing spree with his third kill of the game, which is nice for G2 Esports. And another turret, well, the first turret actually being dropped by Downborn Gaming here in the bot lane. And that's the story of this game. We can see here Wonder getting extremely fat on that Jace, whereas Nuclear on the Kaiser is getting more and more gold funneled into him with that first turret now as well. And these two guys probably have the same amount of gold to their names. Maybe Wonder even a bit more gold than at Kaiser, but that's not gonna matter in team fights, where Nuclear is just gonna be able to put out probably so much more damage than a Jace could ever do. Well, of course, the DPS of the Jace is quite low, but his strength is, of course, the poke before the objective setup. And with no healing on the side of Diamond Gaming, maybe that's the route G2 can take if they have control over any objective areas, which is going to be difficult to establish. They might be able to poke out the enemy team before the fight happens, and that's really the role that Jace can play here. Mickey X kicked back by Canyon, uses him as a way out himself, though, and Diamond not able to close in on that pick in time. Instead, turn their eyes towards this dragon, which G2 Esports seem to have no intention of contesting anyway. with the current setup. Second dragon going over to the Korean side. Gold almost equal here. Almost dead even a game we got on our hands, but Caps only now able to complete his first item, while this Rise has been scaling for ages now, and goes the hyper scaling late game route actually here is Showmaker, with the Rod of Ages already completed and scaling up here in about 10 minutes. He's gonna have a huge item here in terms of damage and tankiness. Barrow takes that engage in, but might not be too content with that, but Mickey X instead is the one to drop low early. Jankos also almost one-shot here as Nuclear is able to avoid any CC just up until Caps dives in there, but with the stasis and the flash just in time out of the shockwave, Nuclear is able to stay alive. A great team fight for the Korean side here, and Caps also just taken down by the enemy Rise. It's a 3-4-0 fight in favor of Damwon Gaming here. Perks needs to be careful not to be taken out himself. Wonder almost lands a shock blast. Great reaction on Barrow with that flash out just in time not to be taken out. And Wonder at least not giving over his shutdown money, but 2 more kills for Showmaker's Rise means that these teamfights are just going to get harder and harder for the side of G2 Esports, excuse me. They need a bunch more kills on that Orianna to maybe be able to win a team fight by sheer wombo comboing the enemy team with Alistar Orianna. But as it stands, the Rise and Kaiser damage are just gonna be huge, and Damwon Gaming look to be in an excellent position to grab this second game and tie up the series. We see the shockwave just barely flashed away from by Nuclear. He would have almost certainly been dead had he been targeted by that RW from Perks. And despite him being a level up on the Kaiser, he's down in gold by a large margin, and he wasn't level 11 yet. Therefore, the ultimate not that big in damage. And yeah, overall just a well-played team fight here from Damwon Gaming results in a 3,000 gold advantage for them with that turret lead they have as well. You see their inventories, nice amount of pink wards all across the board for them, signals that they are looking to now seize control over the jungle and the objectives as well. They might just be looking to stack more and more of these dragons, but I also would expect them to go for an early Baron. They don't necessarily have to, but G2 Esports, hold the phone for just a second, are attempting a play onto Nuguri here, who burns his teleport out of there. No CC for G2 available to cancel him from that one. And again, we see a play attempted by Damwon here in the middle lane. Perks' flash being burned by that Leona. No summoners burned by the side of Damwon Gaming, except of course the teleport that Nuguri just used to get out of the small predicament here in the bot lane. Results in a positive trade of, well, just summoners for Damwon definitely here. They don't really need that teleport if they are gonna force S5, but of course would have been happy to just continue split pushing with that cannon, who has interestingly enough gone for the Morellonomicon completion, which is a very weird item choice, I'd have to say. Goes for the healing, well, I don't know. I don't really know what this one is looking to achieve here. But anyhow, he's got it. Maybe the Sonya's Hourglass will be his third item now. But for now, he's got those 2 items completed and is rather strong in team fights for sure. Now here in 1v1, still probably gonna have to care not to get one comboed by this enemy Jace, who is rather tanky with a Hex Drinker as well in that 1v1 matchup. And we see here, despite Jankos being able to cocoon the enemy support looking to set up vision, they're not able to punish the Leona or even force any cooldowns out of her. Here, just simply because they are behind and they don't have that much damage just yet. Spirit of Shojin, of course, on the Renekton is usually a big power spike, but it matters far less when the enemy team has already got a Rise with 4 Rod of Ages stacks and the tier completed. 2 items here, absolutely massive is Showmaker. Now I'm excited to see what G2 can pull out of the bag, what type of tricks they have in that hat to turn this one around. Because the team fights are surely not going to be straight up won by them. They're going to have to be creative here. And if any team is able to do so here all across the world, it is G2 Esports. So much flexibility in that lineup. So many ideas they've brought to the table over and over again. But their weird team composition might have already run past their timer here, quite frankly. With Jace, Elise, and Renekton, that's about the most early game focused topside you could think of, quite frankly. And they've not managed to capitalize. Well, they have managed to capitalize in terms of the Jace getting fed, but not more so than the enemy team has on their bot side. And by no means is Orianna a bad scaling champion, but the Renekton is just so far behind. The Elise has not really been activated in this game, and a Ryze Kaiser is just about as scary as team fights are gonna get here in those late game situations. And I was talking about how I expected Damo to maybe try and look for an early Baron, but in all honesty, they don't even have to, because the longer the game goes, the more in theory they are going to be favored in those team fights, at least until they hit their full item marks on those two carry champions. And I would like to see them eventually force G2 Esports to contest them at a Baron or a Dragon fight, and they could choose to do so as early as now, quite frankly, with the big lead that they have. But they might also just sit it out a bit and accumulate one or two more items on their carries and just get stronger and stronger. They just have to be careful here down in the bot lane, because repeatedly that's the play, the number one play in G2's book, if you will. Looking to catch out that Cannon or Kale in that previous game in the side lane, and so far, at least in the second game, Nuguri has done a decent job in avoiding those ganks. Has been ganked twice and killed by the side of G2 Esports, one for the first blood and one more, of course, with the Alistar under that turret dive we still remember from about 10 minutes ago, but ever since then has played disciplinedly, not to be caught out, and again here avoids just the 1v1 with Wonder, because he doesn't have to take it. Even if he could win that 1v1, maybe potentially, he is just simply not forced to opt into it, while the rest of his team has been doing such a great job, as opposed to game 1 where Damwon Gaming were sort of losing across the board. They are in a prime position to, well, just simply close this one out. I know that it doesn't look as scary with the 3-2 turret, the 6-5 kill, and the just 3,000 gold score in their advantage. But you really have to take into consideration the team comp difference and what goals both these squads are looking for here, to realize that Damwon Gaming are the one with a firm grasp here around the W, if you will, in that second game. Whew. G2 Esports so far, I have to really commend them for keeping up the vision around the Baron buff. Damwon Gaming have never been able to just choke out the entirety of G2 Esports' wards, and again Jankos time and time around always on time and grabs that scuttle grab, but Perks has just been realm warped behind. I don't see a way for him out of this one. Leona hit behind him, but they decide to give up the chase here. G2 Esports have responded quite well with the map movements of their own. Alistar already almost there, and Jace of course has been in the bot lane all the time to assist his mid laner here. Again, the flash blown from Perks in return for that ultimate of Ryze, and G2 Esports have once more bought themselves a couple of more minutes with that Rift Scuttler take in that top river. Therefore, Damwon Gaming unable to sneakily take the Baron or force G2 Esports to check into unknown territory. Whew. Hence, G2 Esports can live for a few more minutes, but I'm not sure that that is what they want. Nuguri is looking to set up a big flank from the bot side here, and G2 Esports have just now found him out. Nuguri now turning to run away and probably not going to be caught up by G2 Esports. That would have been a tough fight to get out of for the European squad had the cannon managed to reach that backline without being spotted. But they have done their due diligence, completed their homework, and therefore were able to avoid the situation before it got too irredeemably bad. Second item just completed on the Renekton, and that's how far behind he is. Where the Ryze is about to close in on his Void Staff completion, and that Rod of Ages is just now about to tick up to that 10th and final stack. This Ryze is ages ahead of this Renekton in the middle lane, and that's not necessarily to Caps again misplaying in that 1v1 lane, but just the map plays G2 Esports went for half set behind this Renekton by a huge margin, and they're now looking to salvage this a bit by forcing Damwon Gaming to play the split push game. But remember, with that Ryze ultimate, they really have to be careful how far they push up in those side lanes without getting rambopped on by the entirety of Damwon Gaming's team here. Quite frankly, that's not a situation I would love to be in as a split pusher myself. Finding that enemy Ryze behind every corner with that realm warp ready to port onto me with those 3 items almost completed and just one-shotting me, CCing me out of existence. It's not as easy as that for the side of G2 here. And maybe they're gonna be able to try and trade those objectives somehow. I don't know, lure Diamond Gaming into going for that dragon and then try and sneak away the Baron, where Diamond Gaming has, in all honesty, not really set up any vision, but they're not at the objective in time, and therefore Diamond just get that dragon for free. G2 Esports not able to trade for a Baron as they are not on the map before Diamond already raised this dragon to the ground. Showmaker going to reset, and you're gonna see that white stuff pop up in his inventory in just a second as he returns home. Here he goes. Yup, 3rd item completed. Boots as well, and that stopwatch available. I'm calling it right now. This Ryze is not gonna die in the next team fights, barring some huge cataclysmic wombo combo out of G2 Esports, which in all honesty I don't see them pulling off, and they're quite frankly not really equipped even to pull off in terms of raw damage numbers. Realm Warp comes in here, and the engage immediately pulled off by Diamond Gaming. Mickey X blocks it, but it's almost been taken down yet in the stasis, and the 1v1 between jungle and top in the bottom side of the screen has gone to a draw. Nuguri not able to affect the teamfight with an ultimate, and it's so far a 1-for-2 kill trade for G2 Esports. Showmaker flashes forward, not landing any CC, but there goes the Sonic Wave. Mickey X also killed off, and Wonder goes with his last breath for a flash play onto the enemy AD carry, but not just quite able to finish off that Kai'Sa. Gives over the shutdown money and able to claim Kai'Sa's own, and therefore Diamond Gaming now in an insurmountable position here to prime to close out this game. And these rookies have just proven to be so calm, collected, and clean in those teamfights executions, not giving G2 any opportunities. So disciplined here with this setup. And that Realm Warp looked a bit sketchy at first, but then they decide to pull through on this engage decisively. Beryl getting CC'd up immediately, but Mickey X is the one to drop low. Jankos catches Nuguri on the side, marks him before he can get into the fight, which was a great job by the Elise, but Perks forced to go into the stasis, and the entire enemy team without that flash available from earlier, remember, just completely annihilated in this one. Wonder then traps Nuclear in the bush, goes out of the bush, but Nuclear flashes that Q damage from the Jace. Maybe he would have had to wait a few more seconds for that Shock Blast to come back of cooldown. But as things went, he was not able to get the assassination off, and it's Diamond Gaming now with an almost, well, with about 7,000 gold in their advantage, and 4 dragons here also on their on their side of the scoreboard. The turrets are probably about to tumble, but G2 Esports are pulling the trigger before it's too late. Teleport in from Caps, and the ult already activated means his Spear of Shojin has already expired. And that was quite a weird attempt from G2 Esports, not really able to land any of those spells. Instead, it's Wonder, now threatened by Canyon. Headed back, and the Lee Sin drops quite low. Beryl all alone in the enemy team, but he's so tanky. Nuguri from the bottom side gets huge damage off, but Perks gets the first kill of the fight. Is this the fight G2 Esports needs? 2 kills, 3 kills for their side. Oh my lord, but Nuclear dives in, tries to turn the play around, not quite enough, and Nuguri is the last member standing on his team. He's the lone survivor, and G2 Esports are chasing after him. Jace almost takes him down, but this cannon has got some good damage of his own to retaliate here. Shock Blast does not land, and he gets himself back to base. That last surviving Baron buff for the side of Diamond Gaming, but that was disaster, that team fight, and that could cost you games at this international stage. Not able to find the punish here. They try to open up onto the Jace, but immediately knocked back is Canyon, and huge damage coming out onto him from Alistar and Jace. Then Beryl initiates in the bot side, but simply goes too early before Nuguri can arrive. The shockwave onto 3 members from Perks here also comes in clutch, and again flashes out now with the flash just having come available. Gets assassinated by Nuclear diving in, who grabs 2 kills on that Killer Instinct, but overall not enough to turn the tides of this one. And a 4-for-3 of course is a big win from behind here for G2 Esports, but overall still way behind in this one. The enemy carries are just more potent, quite frankly, in these late game teamfights, and despite them having pulled off this miracle teamfight, they haven't really gotten anything from it. No dragon, no Baron on the table, and therefore Damwon Gaming, despite a big blunder, able to probably still stay in the lead here, because G2 Esports cannot capitalize on it, and the team compositions are just too lopsided. They are flipping the script here now. G2 Esports are trying to set up a play in the side lane once more, but Showmaker respecting them, and the other members of Damwon Gaming already having set up in G2's bot side convince the Europeans that it's time to reset and maybe not go for anything crazy right now and losing the base in return for it. With that Dragon Helmet spawned, though, Damwon Gaming able to simply start it up, and G2 Esports are in no position, therefore might have just been better off actually staying around in the top side and maybe with 2 or 3 members push down that turret and try and catch out Showmaker once more. No flash on the rise means that they might have been able to get him, quite honestly. But as things went, the Elder Dragon is now gonna spawn in, well, just short of 5 minutes, and the Baron buff short of 2 minutes as well. With 5 dragons on the start of Damwon Gaming, that's gonna be a tough battle uphill for G2 if they want to win any of these fights. And quite frankly, team fights are what it's going to come down to, with these 2 major objectives spawning in the next 5 minutes. Maybe even this Baron buff in 90 seconds here, already the deciding factor of this second game. So far, it's really difficult to imagine a situation in which Damwon Gaming would have to give up any of these objectives. We see those shock blasts from Wonder surely do good damage, but at this stage, Nuclear is just able to lifesteal against it. Legend Bloodline probably the one thing that keeps him just from getting chunked out over time. And Jace, despite having 4 items, not with those nuclear one-shots, quite ironically, that you usually see from fed Jaces here, not even taking half the health bar of the squishy members from the opponent's team, as he didn't build simply for the most lethal, the most lethal burst combos with the Morph Malmortius as well as that Black Cleaver, rather suited for a more bruisery style as opposed to those long-range poke attempts. And he probably needs the tankiness to even survive against that enemy team. But actually, like you see those shot blasts, they're not fight deciding right now, and therefore, if your only fed member for G2 Esports is not able to really threaten the lives of the enemy squishies like that, it is tough to take the enemy carry line out at all. It's still gonna be, it's again coming down to Perkz landing one of those miracle shockwaves. He has been dodging out on the engage attempts of Damwon Gaming. So far, so good. But now the Koreans have lost their patience and started up this Baron, which is of course not a bad decision here, forcing G2 Esports to step in. Nuguri is looking for a flank angle with that cannon. Every single one of his cooldowns is available for this fight. Damwon have pulled off the Baron, but G2 Esports are now caught off on the wrong side of the fight. Mickey X flanks, but actually it's Nuguri finding a big cannon. 3-man shockwave again from Perkz, it seems, but it's not gonna be enough, as Damwon Gaming are so far just winning that fight. G2 Esports are being blown up on the spot, and it's a 3-for-1, 4-for-1 in kills, and Perkz as the captain is the last man standing, but not for much longer. Showmaker, despite not landing those rise Qs so far, actually not able to take Perkz down, and Damwon Gaming decide that other than chase down this Orianna, they rather just take out the Baron here. And probably a good decision here, not wasting any time, grabbing that objective, and with that map control resulting from that Baron take, they should also be able to take out the Elder Dragon that is about to spawn in 2 minutes. And frankly, with a 5 Dragon Elder, there's no way G2 can come back from this one if Damwon get that Elder Dragon, and it's looking quite like they are going to. Honestly, we see Mickey X flanking here from the top side on the Alistar, looking for an engage, but instead they get turned around on in the bot side of the fight, where Nuguri was just waiting for his opportunity to open up. It was a 2-man shockwave from Perkz, not too shabby, but simply not enough, and the carry members quite crucially here of Damwon Gaming were not affected by it. Therefore, nobody of importance here going down for the Korean side. Alright, it's only 1 minute remaining till Elder Dragon, and if Damwon are able to grab it, it's probably the last fight of this game. Therefore, G2 Esports are backs against the wall for this game. They are gonna have to win that fight here or concede the match. Who? And they know it. You see all of these 5 guys already setting up around here. No split push shenanigans here. They don't have the control for it. They're looking for picks, but unable to find any, as Diamond Gaming are not giving up those positions just so freely. And oh wow, big mishap here. The mid control has been seized by Diamond, and while G2 Esports know they have to play around this dragon, they of course cannot give up their entire base for it. So an inhibitor turret drops in the middle lane as Diamond Gaming, instead of contesting around the dragon area, simply walk down mid lane and force G2 to respawn. Now, even having to teleport back in is Caps here in the bot side, probably assuming that he has not been seen, but with that ward that Diamond Gaming very intelligently placed there earlier, they exactly know where he's at. Down in the bottom bush looking for the flank. Diamond Gaming are aware of G2's position, but they're taking it slow here, and with that ward on the dragon, they are not forced to check in here before G2 Esports show themselves around this dragon. Rift Scuttler secured for G2 at least gives them a notification for whenever G2 start off this objective, but Caps has been spotted out by Nuggery here from the sweeping lands, and he does not know it yet. He has been found out, and the entirety of Diamond Gaming is collapsing onto him. Nobody from G2 Esports in range to even help him. He shakes his head for this one. He knows it was a desperation play, but with 4 members versus 5, there's nothing left to contest this Elder Dragon. Diamond Gaming claim it, and that's sure ought to be the match, isn't it? They're now looking to force a fight within those next 2 minutes, as long as this Elder Dragon is ticking. I don't think G2 Esports can even approach, can even step into the range of vision of any of these Diamond Gaming members without being immediately burned and executed through. In this buff with those 5 elementals just simply way too powerful for G2 to handle with. You see, even one Sonic Wave from Lee Sin takes 300 HP out of the Alistar, and that's supposed to be the tank on G2 Esports' side. First inhibitor of the game finally dropped here in the bottom lane for Damwon Gaming this time around. Second one just about to follow in the mid lane. They have to care about these Sonic Waves coming out from the Lee Sin. Using the Realm Bob towards the top side is Diamond Gaming. Nuggery wisely staying behind actually, and I am quite confused by that one. I thought they were going to push in the top side and have Nuggery get the mid wave as well, but instead choose to reset with this one. Not entirely sure if they couldn't have maybe pushed for the top lane inhibitor as well, but maybe they just had too much gold and decided to go for one final reset, full itemization on the mid lane and bot lane carries. And are now looking to move into the top lane and claim that third inhibitor, which by many people is considered to be as good as game victory. Oh my lord, Perks might have already stepped up a bit too far here in the top lane, but Diamond Gaming don't burn the trigger yet. It's very impressive to me how these young players, those first international event attenders here, are able to constrain themselves and not go in too early, too uncoordinately. They are very well coordinated indeed, and they threaten the enemy team, choke them out just slowly and diligently here. Nuggery pushing in those mid lane minion waves. Oh my lord, that's a difficult one. While the rest of his squad pushes up on in the top side. The Elder Dragon is about to run out in 20 seconds, and maybe that's the window that G2 Esports are looking for, as they're already positioning menacingly around the enemy 4-man squad. Diamond Gaming unable to break all 4 inhibitors with that Elder Dragon buff that is about to run out in a couple of seconds. So G2 Esports have averted the complete collapse of their base. But 2 inhibs being down, the Baron spawning in under 1 minute, it's going to be a very, very tough task for G2 Esports to contest that one. That's probably the objective. G2 Esports are going to stake the game on, but they have found a pick onto Nuggery here. Flash still available for the cannon. Over the ball he goes, but Caps follows and gets himself that 1 kill. But with the Baron spawning in 30 seconds, maybe, just maybe, that is what G2 Esports needed to contest for that objective. It's going to be a 4 versus 5 at the Baron for about 20 seconds. But don't forget, all these minion waves in G2 Esports space. Hugs now resetting in the bot lane, and they're simply not going to be able to pressure that Baron with those inhibitors down in the base, which is so unfortunate. Usually when you get a pick before Baron like that, you're just able to force the objective or turn for a team fight that you're almost certainly going to win. But in this situation, with those inhibitors being dead, G2 Esports cannot afford to stick around for too long around this Baron before their base is going to fall. Teleport available for Naguri, of course, also means that they have to be wary of any backdoor or flanking attempts, where this cannon could completely either decimate their team or just take out their base if they waste too much time around this Baron objective. G2 Esports still sticking around here and around the top side jungle. They are not looking to give up this Baron. They probably realize that this Baron is everything that separates them from the loss in this game. And Diamond Gaming now finally started up. This could be the final team fight of the game. The Renekton in the mid and Cannon still in his base are not there yet, but these G2 Esports are not able to find the engage. Diamond pick up the objective, and with one last reset here, are looking to push down G2 Esports' base for good. Their inhibitors are still down for 1 minute plus here in the mid and bot lane, and the top one is now going to be the single focus of contention here from Diamond Gaming. Maybe they're also just looking to go for the second Elder Dragon, which would make them even more unbeatable in combination with this Baron buff here to close this one out. And that's exactly what I said about 25 minutes ago. I love the lead they have on their carry champions here. Diamond Gaming do. Full items completed on those two. Why not just wait out the entirety of the game until you have maximum power level on your carries, and then fight the enemy team with their early game composition that has by this point completely expired, well beyond the date of consumption, quite honestly. And yeah, how it stands is that G2 Esports are basically unable to win any team fight straight up, and that's exactly the situation Diamond Gaming were looking for here. Now pressuring for that final inhibitor in the top lane, while the bot lane inhibitor is spawning in about 20 seconds for G2 Esports. That's going to open up a slight window of relief for them to maybe try and look for something, while not all their minion waves are being completely crushed upon arrival. But the top lane inhibitor turret needs to stand for that to happen. Yanko's getting chunked out massively, and that's probably going to be the turret dropping. Mickey X looking for the flash engage, but Showmaker, great reaction, flashing out just in time. And therefore, without the Alistair engage, I don't see a massive wombo combo from G2 occurring here anytime soon, unless Mickey X was able to sneak behind the enemy team somehow. But with them simply confining G2 Esports in their own base, that's the teleport attempt. Caps flanking Canyon here on his Renekton, but unable to land any CC just yet. Dragon's Rage able to kick Caps away and get Canyon out of there. Oh my lord, that's the last inhibitor dropping, but with the other two being alive again, G2 Esports have again averted the biggest possible crisis. They're just by a slither of it, hanging onto this game and not letting loose. Diamond Gaming though also not panicking, playing very patiently and still with the firm lead here, looking to secure that objective. G2 Esports now sense their opportunity, with Diamond Gaming having reset to maybe rush down the objective. They are waiting on the blast count going over as 5, but Diamond is almost there already. They now realize that G2 Esports is here in full force. Are they going to be able to burn through the objective before Diamond arrive? There's no smite for Diamond Gaming. Your Wonder might just be able, Jankos to pick it up. There it goes. G2 Esports with the Baron, with the Dragon. Are they able to pick it up? Only one man Shockwave lands as Nuclear dives in, and G2 Esports are getting annihilated in the backline. It's a 3-4, 5-4-0 for Diamond Gaming, and that's finally the game. 1-1. They equalize the series as G2 Esports stake the entire game on that second Elder Dragon buff. Were able to get it, but what did it cost? Everything. As their base collapses, they can only watch the enemy team with a clean ace tear through those last standing turrets and the Nexus as well, and Korea equalizes the series as we get a tight 1-1 matchup just as we expected it. GG's.